Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is still your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we are discussing a 2008 model year launch by Bethune, a 50-piece limited edition in grade 5 titanium. This is the Bethune DB24 Power Reserve, but it is much more than just a power reserve. It's large. These DB20 series cases are shingle-like in profile with screw-down crowns and 100 to 300 meter water resistance. They were the first sports watches made by the Lauberson independent brand. 48 in diameter, 14.5 thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 52.5 millimeters with a 26 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I'll throw this on my wrist, and you can see my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and yet the watch fits comfortably. Large, certainly. It declares itself with confidence and a little bit of a brash style. It has a very modern stance on the wrist. A timepiece that, eyes closed, could be more like a 42 because it is fairly light in sapphire and titanium. And it's not as thick as you might think, especially with a stepped case flank that will fit underneath most jacket cuffs. But I will recommend that you not wear the watch on a wrist any smaller than mine. I think to go any smaller would be to allow the watch to dwarf the forearm. So again, my wrist 16 centimeters circumference. Here we have a Jean Rousseau strap for Bethune. They are the OEM supplier to Bethune and also F. Pigeon, so you know you're getting the best right here. And you'll note, no leather. We have a combination of textile and rubber here. So this is good to go. The watch is aquatic and so is the strap. We have a matching media blasted fired blue titanium pin buckle, and Bethune pin buckles always match the case design, so you can see a little bit of a fluted skeg on the side of the buckle, and very similar to the design of the lug profiles here. Bethune makes cases, dials, and movements in-house, the better to control the process. This watch is constructed of titanium inside and out, that is on the dial as well as the bezel and the case, so it is very, very light in the hand. Bethune has a process for kiln firing titanium to achieve various different types of blues. So what you're looking at here is a nice slate blue with a media blast finish, proprietary screws to prevent amateur watchmakers from getting in over their head. We have a knurled and drilled crown that is a screw down, again over 100 meters of water resistance, so swimming is just fine. And then we have an echo of the bezel design on the dial where we have a brushed and blueprinted sector style minutes track with little blue set screws to hold it in place. We have a combination of satination and media blast along the center dial, which looks like the spokes of a vintage automobile. And then we have 2-element hands for the hours and minutes, including both media blasted, fired, and polished grade 5 titanium. Now, this is grade 5 tie, which is hypoallergenic and lighter than steel like grade 2, but also more scratch resistant than grade 2. And because Bethune fires these blue components to achieve the color, if for whatever reason you scratch through the material, when it goes back to the factory, they can simply refinish the surface and fire it again to restore the blue coating. So it's not like PVD where you're one and done and have to buy a replacement if you get a scratch. Now up at the top of the dial behind 2 grills, you can see that we've got a power reserve indicator. The watch is automatic winding. It has a power reserve of 6 days, and you can see as it winds, it changes color. So 6 days of automatic winding power reserve via twin self-adjusting barrels in series. The self-adjusting barrels cannot accidentally be overwound. That's elementary in an automatic watch, but with Bethune it's also true with the manual wind watches. And having 2 barrels in series, you get a very flat torque curve because the 2 mainsprings are phased to maintain optimum, that is constant, force to the escapement for most of the power reserve from day 1 to 6. Now flipping things over, you can see the movement. This is the caliber DB24, beautiful and expansive, with a combination of snailing, media blast, satination, and polished bevels. let's go from the inside out. Let's start at the center. Denis Flageolet, the watchmaking genius, co-founder and engineering lead at de Bethune, wanted a long lever arm for the winding system with platinum outboard and a titanium rotor. But in order to create that long lever arm, he needed to brace the ball bearing at the center, because if he didn't, you'd have all sorts of torsional action, whereas it's only supposed to wind rotationally. You'd have this other force that would wear down the bearings and possibly wear them unevenly. So he created this patented system with 4 cantilever springs, each one of which has 3 inset jewels to reduce friction when the rotor contacts the spring. So you have a shock-protected rotor and winding system that's also exceptionally low friction. Now, there's also a mechanism which is controlled through the crown where you can set low, medium, or high winding efficiency, and there's a little index. So if you're very sedentary like me at work and you work at a desk, set it to high winding efficiency to maximize the little action you have, the little motion you have. If you are more active, you can set it to low winding efficiency so it doesn't wear down the winding system quite as much. And if you're extremely active, or you know you're about to do high impact activities, you can disable the winding system entirely. So you have a lot of options there. 2 barrels under this barrel bridge. Take a look at the components for the setting system of the winding activity index. They're satinated on their top and they're micro beveled on their side, and those are stainless steel parts, so finishing them like that is not easy. We have a full balance bridge to better brace the balance against shock, but we also have 1, 2, 3 shock protection springs. It's called triple parachute, and it has 2 purposes. One is to prevent damage to the balance staff pivot. That's what all shock protection does on a balance. Protect the balance staff pivot, but this also more rapidly recenters the balance staff pivot in its cup jewel, which allows it to resume proper timekeeping. More rapidly recentering the balance staff means this is a better chronometry instrument. So 2 purposes, timing and durability for this triple parachute, which is patented. There's a 2-element hairspring, flat, that's cut, shaped by hand, and then clamped back together so it breathes concentrically the way an overcoil would in any position, but it's shock resistant and flat like a flat hairspring. Finally, you just barely see it under my finger. There is a silicone escape wheel of de Bethune's own design to reduce friction in the escapement. We also have one of Denis' signature patented balances. Now, he's redesigned the balance at least 10 times. He's always seeking to minimize the effect of aerodynamics on timing, maximize the amount of mass in the rim, and reduce the effect of temperature change on timing. And so this balance, which is like 2 yokes crossed at 90 degrees to each other. It's a non-annular balance. It features a titanium set of rotor arms and platinum bulb masses outboard, a very sophisticated timekeeper, beaten away at 4 hertz and pivoting on 47 joules. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am T Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.